friends, how are you? Today I am going to be making some ragu, okay? I learned how to make this ragu in Modena from a Cesarina named Rafa. And Rafa taught me all about Modenese cooking. It is basically a Bolognese, but when you're outside of Bologna, you don't call it Bolognese because that's your native dish. It's your native ragu, okay? So this ragu is on my website. It is under cooking class in Modena. It was posted in December. I'll put the link in the body of this video. But the thing that's different about this different than any other ragu I had ever made is it has prosciutto in it. So it's equal portions of ground beef and ground pork, 200 grams of Italian sweet sausage, 150 grams of prosciutto. Now, you can get it ground in Italy. I have not been able to find ground prosciutto here in the States because meat grinders in the States grind raw meat, and this is a cured meat. So I just take it and I just chop it as much as I can. And then it has carrot, onion, celery, garlic, the typical thing, the tomato puree, and bay leaves. The thing it doesn't have is cream. And almost every other Bolognese I've ever made had cream in it. So I have some oil, olive oil, some really nice olive oil already getting warmed up over here. I have a carrot, or I'm sorry, this is an onion. I have an onion here that I'm gonna cut. Now, because it's a Bolognese style ragu, you want your pieces of your celery, carrots, and onions to be on the smaller side. Now, I do not believe in perfection. Perfection is overrated, right? Embrace the perfection of the imperfection. And so it doesn't have to all be the same. You want them to be reasonably close, but you know, you don't need to be OCD about it. So we're gonna put the onions in here. Gonna get that going. I'm gonna chop up the rest of this onion and carrots and celery, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have the onions, the carrots, and the celery sauteing for a while. I added some salt. I really love to season with salt, season in layers, especially as you're sauteing vegetables. And then after you add meat, you can add some more salt. And then a minute ago, I put in just one tiny little clove of garlic. Now I have here my ground pork, my ground beef, and my ground sausage. I weighed them. So in Europe, they don't just bake, they cook by weight. And since I took that class with her, that's what I try to do if I'm following a recipe, because I want it to taste the same. Now, the first time I try a recipe, I will do it exactly the way it says to do it, and then I'll mix it up. Then I might add things. I just want to know what the recipe developer's idea was before I start making it my own. So, we're gonna put in the ground beef, the ground pork, and the sausage. I'm gonna mash that all up. Now, some people like to use a potato masher, and that's good. I might go in and do that in a minute. Trying to talk over the frying meat. And while that's cooking down and rendering out some fat, I'm gonna start cutting up this prosciutto and get it as small as I can. It's hard to do, but the point is, as it simmers and breaks down, because it's gonna cook for a couple hours, it's not gonna be these long stringy pieces. I'm gonna get it as small as I can. So I'll be right back. While I'm pulling this prosciutto off of the plastic, I thought I would talk to you a little bit about it. So if I was not cooking this down, I might process this in a food processor. Now, when I make my tortellini filling, with the prosciutto, I ask the butcher to cut it in like one thick slice. And then I take it and chop it into cubes and put that in my food processor, along with the mortadella. And then I mix in the Parmesan. So that's a little different. If I wanted this that fine, I could do that. But with the meat sauce, I like it to be a little bit of chunk, because the meat that's been already ground is not smooth like the ground prosciutto would be, if that makes any sense. So I kind of like the chunk in it. or the texture, I should say. So let me get this in there and then I'll be back. Okay, I've had the meat in here for about 10 minutes. It's all nice and brown. I've broken it up. I'm gonna put in some salt and pepper. So again, oops, Diamond Crystal kosher salt, up high, spread that love. And then I'm gonna do some fresh cracked black pepper. I like a lot of pepper. If you don't, you're gonna stop by now. I'm that person at a restaurant when they come around with the big pepper grinder, I'm like, keep it going, keep it going. So we're gonna toss this around and then I'm gonna add in, this is the Muti brand tomato puree. And I'm gonna use 2 jars of this. And a little tip for you is if you use something in a jar or a can and then the recipe also calls for water, fill that up with water to get the inside of that sauce out. So I'm gonna stir this around and then we're gonna add enough water to be about a ½ inch above the sauce. And we're gonna keep an eye on that the whole time this is cooking because as it cooks down, the flavor is gonna get more concentrated, okay? So we're gonna put this water in here and get some more of that tomato flavor out. Check that out. Put the bay leaves in there. And we're good to go. See you in about 3 hours. Okay, it's been a couple of hours. I've been stirring my sauce. You'll see all the water has evaporated off the top. Now I noticed about an hour ago that the flavors were not quite there yet and the water had evaporated. So I added a little more water on top and you want it to cook down to be perfect. Perfect texture. So this is what it looks like. There you go. Well, I hope you have a wonderful time. If you get to try this Bolognese, the recipe is on my blog. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Be well.